really don't even know where to get started today. Just as things are approaching at least some semblance of normalcy, here we go again, finding ourselves in the exact position that we were in 3 months ago. I'm kind of just going off the cuff today. I didn't do much research like I normally would do before uploading a video. I'm just speaking my mind today. In case you have been disconnected from the world for the past 24, 48 hours, the NBA players decided that they were going to boycott their own playoff games on Wednesday night over the situation that happened in Kenosha, Wisconsin. I think it was last weekend. Now, just like when the league postponed the regular season due to the coronavirus, this sent shockwaves through the sports world. Major League Baseball games were postponed or canceled, though not all of them. Some teams decided to play. The WNBA, they canceled their games on Wednesday, which no one noticed and no one really cared. I think they were really just doing people a favor. It was like a domino effect across the world of sports. Everything once again was being canceled. This disease that we call politics in this country has unfortunately taken over our sports. And I hate to call a guy getting shot by the police a political situation because it shouldn't be. But unfortunately, in this country, everything is turned into a political situation. I feel like you guys are only getting one side of this story from the media. So what I'm going to do today, I'm going to give you the perspective of the players, where they are coming from, which is what you're getting from the media. Then I'm going to give you an alternate perspective, a perspective that I really believe a sizable portion of the NBA and NFL audience will agree with or might agree with. A perspective, strangely, no one in the media is talking about. Now, you can decide which one you agree with and let me know in the comments below. Just to give you a brief synopsis of what's been going on. All of this started to gain national attention Wednesday afternoon when the Milwaukee Bucks refused to play Game 5 against Orlando. Now, I'm not sure why everyone was shocked by this. You could see this coming all week. George Hill was vocal about not being in the right mindset to play because of the Jacob Blake situation. Doc Rivers made a fantastic speech in a press conference earlier this week. Now, this shooting happened about 40 miles outside of Milwaukee, so the Bucks as a team felt it was their responsibility to lead this boycott. The players had a meeting late Wednesday night. The Lakers and the Clippers voted to cancel the remainder of the playoffs. They walked out of the meeting. All other teams in the bubble voted to continue. They eventually came out yesterday and agreed to finish the playoffs. I understand what the players are trying to accomplish. They're trying to bring this movement. They're trying to get change implemented. They feel like they're in a position of influence, that the world is watching them, and they feel like this is the best course of action. Some NBA players feel like the actions that they've taken thus far have been ineffective. The Black Lives Matter on the floor, the messages on the back of their jerseys, honestly, they have been ineffective, which I told you guys from the beginning that would be the case. NBA players feel like the playoff games are providing a distraction from the real issues at hand. And without the games being played, they can get back home and do what they need to do to change their communities. They also want to hold the owners accountable. The players feel like the owners have the power to change things in their communities, which is probably true. I mean, these owners have a lot of money. They have influence over local politicians. It's definitely a brave stand. Whether you agree or disagree with what the NBA players did, you've got to respect their courage for doing so. They're putting their money where their mouth is, trying to bring awareness to this issue between the police and the black community. So that's pretty much a brief synopsis of the perspective from the NBA players. The reason I'm not going to go into too much detail is because you guys are hearing all of this in the media. So I'm going to play devil's advocate right now and give you the perspective from another point of view. Now, this doesn't mean all fans see it this way, but I do think a sizable portion of the NBA fan base might agree with the points that I'm going to make. Before I do that, I just want to make one thing clear. I love the NBA. I've been a fan of the NBA for over 25 years. I have a lot of respect for the players, the coaches. Covering the NBA has helped me grow this channel over the past year. But I hate to see the league in this massive decline that it is in right now. And the NBA is in decline. As I am listening to all of these sports shows on Thursday, all these opinions from pundits, analysts, you name it. I listen to more sports shows on Thursday than I normally do in a week. I wanted to see what everyone was talking about. And it was all mostly the same opinion across the board. Support the players, support the players, support this boycott, support this boycott. That's all we heard. But amidst all this support of the players, I noticed one thing that no one was mentioning. And at the end of the day, it is the most important facet of all sports. The fans, you and me, the people that make all of this possible, the people that pay the salaries of the players. Without the fans, the NBA doesn't exist. And no one is talking about the fans and what these boycotts and infusing politics into sports leagues are doing to the fan base. First of all, let's just talk about the boycotts from a fan's perspective instead of the player's perspective. NBA players are pissed off about what's going on in their communities, what's going on in the government, how police are treating African Americans. So they come together and decide that the best course of action is to not punish the politicians or the government or the police, but to punish their own fans by refusing to play? To me, that just seems counterintuitive. It doesn't make much sense. What business purposely punishes its own customers? The only example I could think of where a sports or an entertainment company intentionally does things to piss off or punish its fan base is the WWE. I don't watch WWE, but for years their fan base has been vocal about the company not giving them what they want. Some even accuse Vince McMahon of purposely doing things to punish his fan base. And how has that worked out for Vince McMahon and WWE? They went from drawing 8, 9, 10 million viewers in the late 90s, 5 or 6 million, 6, 7, 8 years ago, to today, they're averaging about 1.5 million viewers. Basically, they've lost, 80% of their audience. The same thing is happening right now in the NBA. Fans are tuning out of the NBA in droves. This league is bleeding viewership. I told you guys a couple of weeks ago that the NBA has lost 45-50% of its audience since 2012. Now think about what started happening around that time. LeBron James was starting to become more socially conscious. He was beginning to use his platform to influence social and political issues. Now it was subtle at first, but as the years went on, as he got older and his platform got bigger, the more vocal he has become on certain issues that pertain to the black community. And the more vocal LeBron got, the more viewers started to tune out of the NBA. This year, it's been even worse, especially the last few months. This NBA, the going woke, this politicization of the league, trying to open people's eyes. It's hard to open people's eyes when no one is watching your games. Going woke is going to get you broke. The NBA playoffs this year have been a disaster. Game 1 between the Lakers and the Blazers, down 23%. It was the least viewed playoff opening game in the last 5 years. Game 4 between the Clippers and the Mavs on Sunday afternoon, probably the best game of the playoffs this year, down 45%. And to make matters worse, it was going up against the Indy 500. Not exactly a popular sporting event. It's more of a niche event. The Indy 500 had 300,000 more viewers than an NBA playoff game featuring mainstream superstars on both teams. Quick, name one driver in the Indy 500. Yeah, I couldn't name one either. Game 4 between the Sixers and Celtics Sunday afternoon, down 38%. It was ABC's lowest rated and least watched playoff game ever. I think you get my point. I keep saying this over and over and over on this channel. Politics and sports don't mix. It is clear that the NBA is alienating a sizable portion of their audience. And the blue check marks on Twitter, like Donovan Bennett, they're not helping this cause either. He tweeted out a screenshot of the NBA owner's net worth on Thursday. And then he tweeted out the following statement, quote, "We always ask what more the players can do. Why do we place the burden for change on the oppressed and not the oppressor?" End quote. First of all, who asked what more the players can do? I don't remember anyone asking that question. I don't remember anyone asking LeBron James to be the face of a political movement. And second, if NBA players making millions of dollars are oppressed, sign me up. I want to be oppressed too. I feel like a lot of things that people related to the NBA are doing right now is being perceived as virtue signaling or attention-seeking behavior. Take Kenny Smith, for example, NBA analyst for TNT. I've got a lot of respect for Kenny Smith, but what was the purpose of him abruptly walking off set Wednesday night? What did that accomplish? I felt bad for Shaq and Charles Barkley. It kind of put them in a predicament. Charles Barkley had a look on his face like, what the hell is he doing? If Kenny Smith had done that at a normal job, he would have been fired on the spot, just leaving work. Plus, think about this. NBA players have already conditioned their fans to believe that the regular season doesn't matter. Now, we have players refusing to take the court for playoff games. What kind of message does that send to your fan base? You may feel like the players' boycott is a noble cause, and that's fine. But let me ask you this. What happens the next time something like this happens? What happens if another black man is shot by the police? What happens if a white guy is shot by the police and the white coaches and players decide they want to boycott? What happens if Donald Trump wins in November and NBA players are upset about it and refuse to play? Do you see where I'm going here? This is why I'm not a fan of boycotts. You could find a reason to boycott something every day. The precedent has been set now for the NBA. The standard is there. So what happens next time? What are they going to do? I'm just throwing examples out there. I truly believe that LeBron James and the players have good intentions on what they're trying to do. I understand why they are trying to bring awareness. However, the way they're going about it, using the NBA as a vehicle to promote their cause, is having a disastrous effect on the league. I have a feeling if these playoff games were being played in home NBA arenas, that none of this would be happening. Owners would be irate because I feel like fans would turn this boycott around on the players and boycott going to the games. We're already seeing fans boycott the playoffs on television, and the NBA has TV deals coming up for renewal very soon. It's going to be interesting to see what the ratings look like after this boycott and how it affects their new television deals. Adam Silver's got to be in a panic right now. His lack of leadership has put him in a position that no league commissioner wants to be in. He is stuck in the middle between his players and his fan base. His players want to use the NBA's platform to promote social and political causes. And many of his fans don't want these causes and politics in their sports league. Let me explain to you how this boycott comes across to some NBA fans, the ones that haven't given up on the league already. You've got NBA players complaining about being in the bubble, which I'm sure is not the most ideal environment, but they're being paid millions of dollars to be there. You have guys like George Hill saying that he isn't in the right mindset to play basketball. The Milwaukee Bucks as a team, when they refused to play Game 5, they were too emotional to play. But this is their job. Let me ask you this. How many other African Americans in this country were allowed to refuse to come to work on Wednesday because they were too emotional or weren't in the right mindset? Sorry, boss, I'm not in the right mindset to come to work today. You know what his boss is going to say? Don't come back tomorrow either. Better yet, how many of you guys can use your employer to promote your political beliefs? Players in the NBA already have a preconceived reputation in this country of being privileged, pampered millionaires. This boycott isn't doing anything to help remove that perception. What this boycott really did is cause more chaos, which is the opposite of what I believe the NBA players want to come out of this. The very politicians and government officials that they're trying to make aware, they need chaos like this. Politicians love chaos, especially in an election year. They need a problem so they can go out to the public claiming that they're the ones to solve it. These politicians don't care if NBA players are boycotting their own games. Sure, they might say the right things publicly, but they don't care. More than likely, they're happy this is going on because the more things can remain out of the norm, the better it is for politicians that are running for office. The truth is, what's going on in this country is not an NBA issue. The players in the NBA have made it an NBA issue. If they want real change, then why don't you organize as a group and meet with the governor of Wisconsin or California, or better yet, go meet with the president at the White House and ask him what needs to be done. What can we do to change things in this country? But they're not going to do that. No. They're not going to do that. NBA players have refused to go to the White House ever since Donald Trump has been in office because they're afraid of what it would look like, afraid of how it could affect their image, afraid of what Twitter trolls might think about it. Instead, they want to promote their cause through the media. They want to tell you who to vote for. The NBA has essentially become a wing of the Democratic Party. Look, I don't care what political affiliations that NBA players have. Doesn't matter to me if they're Democrat, Republican, don't vote, don't care. What does bother me, and I think it bothers a lot of people, is when I turn on an NBA game to get away from politics and the negativity going on in the country, and I am beaten over the head with political messages and rhetoric. And I'm a moderate who leans liberal. Imagine what NBA fans who are Trump supporters feel like when they watch the NBA. I think many of those are a part of the millions who have just tuned the league out completely. Like I've said so many times, all they have accomplished by doing this is alienating a portion of their audience. It's just not smart business. Like Michael Jordan used to say, Republicans buy shoes too. So how has all of this worked out for the NBA? Have you seen any change socially, politically? If anything, it seems to be getting worse. The last I checked, things are the same now or worse as they were back in May when George Floyd was murdered. What is the precedent now? Are players going to boycott games every time something like this happens? If you look at statistics, it seems to happen about every other month. Are we going to have to go through this every time? What exactly did this boycott accomplish? Sure, it brought awareness for a few days, but this mixing politics and sports has already proven to be ineffective. Some fans might support this in the short term, but long term, this is a terrible business strategy. constantly infusing politics into the NBA. I think NBA players made the right call by deciding to finish out the playoffs, but a part of me also thinks that they realize that the NFL's starting in 2 weeks, and once football kicks off, no one is going to care if they're boycotting their own games or not. It's going to be interesting to see how far NBA ratings fall once the NFL begins, or maybe they'll go up after this. We'll see what happens. All right, that's all for today. Hit that like and subscribe button for me. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Leave me a comment in the section below. Let me know what you think of the NBA players boycotting their own playoff games. Do you think it was effective, or is it more of a virtue signaling type of deal? Let me know your thoughts. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Have any questions, a topic you'd like me to discuss, you can email me at BTLKC84@gmail.com. I'll see you guys next time.